Oh yeah, I know. Oh, I already know. I've been in the malls already. I have I'm running kiosks in the mall, so I already know how much it is to run a brick and mortar. It's a lot. And if you can save yourself that tenant rent, and just have an online store, that's even better. But either way,
no. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? And so, I mean, there's license agreements you can do. There's wholesale partners you can have. There's retail partners you can have. Because outside of having the location, workman's comp, then you gotta have,
insurance.
That's what 10% or 15% of what you think you're gonna make is your premium.
But you said, that's you said the end goal. That's when I get, it's like I can afford to have some stores open and running. Just like even Disney stores shut down their stores, a lot of their stores because they just wasn't bringing in the revenue. So yeah, I definitely understand that. But and then also got to think about the people that will support. We don't support each other like we're supposed to. So having a brick and mortar and being in there and no customers, that's another thing you have to worry about.
Man, I have to remember where I am. So I learned something this week. Kendrick had mentored me this week, right? It's like you need to understand the situation and have the right hat on. So I went a little bit hard this week or last week, and I had the wrong hat on. So I went a little hard.
Yeah. And right now I got on every hat. That's the one thing.
Well, but that's the point that I'm trying to bring to you is that one of the hats you do have on is a passion hat. And, there's ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish without exposing yourself to that liability. That's all I'm saying.
What's up? Because we're starting and I'm kind of the host. What's your name?
Oh, okay. I typed in what you gave me, but
so yeah. We live now.
Okay.
All right, let's get this show on the road. Welcome to the February edition of BPM's General Body Meeting. This meeting is being hosted by Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., and we have great speakers coming up this month. Let me share the agenda before we go into prayer and our motivational or informational video for this month. So I'm going to share my screen. Thank you to those of you who are tuning in on YouTube or our Facebook profiles. Make sure that you participate through the comments and also share with your social media audience. So bring this full screen. So our topic for this month, of course, is Black History Month. Do we know who we are? Going to jump into the opening prayer. We have our book club review. And one thing I like to point out is that the General Body Meeting is the flagship monthly gathering for Black professional men. And the different segments highlight different parts of the organization that may break out into other monthly events. So there is a BPM book club that exists where different books are selected and it's fellowship around that particular book. And so that'll be at 6:30. Of course, we have our guest speakers, and we have guest speakers throughout the year. So if you're tuning in and you are a speaker and you want to partner with our organization, then there are speaking opportunities throughout the year, especially as the organization continues to open up its doors and go into hybrid and in-person events. We also have our guest speaker, Donald Dowridge Jr., and we're going to have the great Carl Hunt and Derek Johnson as our member highlights, and community partner will be Paris White. And so BPM Mastermind segment, which is the ability for many leaders to solve a common problem, is also a monthly event that we host and have hosted for years. And so this will be the Do You Know Who We Are trivia. And so there'll also be committee reports, and we'll close things out with the president's report. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Leroy McKenzie for opening prayer. From there, we're going to go into our video of the month, or our intro video that we like to set the tone with our meeting. So take it away.
Thank you, brother Shadi. Hey, Donald's trying to come in, so if you see him on the panelists, okay, that's what I was doing. I'm sorry, everybody. I was trying to get somebody directions to be able to get in. But welcome to the Black Professional Men General Body Meeting. And as Shadid said, we always like to start off with a word of prayer. So if we can bow heads, and we'll get started into our Black History Month. Do you know who you are? Heavenly Father, once again we come before you to say thank you. We thank you for allowing us to be able to wake and see another day. We thank you for allowing us to be able to come to another meeting as well, dear Lord. We just ask that you have your way. We ask that you allow us to be able to speak about those things that need to be talked about. We ask that you allow us to be able to not have our agenda, but your agenda, and whatever it is that you will have to be accomplished. We ask that you will have it to be accomplished, dear Lord. We know that nothing that you will come back null and void, dear Lord. So we just ask that you allow us in this meeting to be able to strengthen each other, to be able to bond with each other, and to be able to uplift each other, Heavenly Father, and uplift us as we not just have this month for Black History Month, but understanding that our history is 365 days, dear Lord, and that we embrace our community, and all that we have to do, and the assignment that we have to do. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I want to start off, thank everybody for joining us this evening. And we usually start off, and we'll do this. I'll give you just a little bit of background for those that are new to Black Professional Men and our General Body Meeting, just to give you some information about who we are and what we do. And then we're going to go around as we do and have everybody give just like a 30 to 60 second introduction to themselves, and who you just tell us just a little bit about who you are. If you're a BPM member, then you can say that as well too. But just to give you a little bit of background about who BPM is. Black Professional Men, BPM, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based here in Baltimore that was started back in 1991. The BPM members serve as mentors and as role models for young African-American men, primarily in and around the Baltimore metro region. The members are also active in other mentoring programs, conduct speaking engagements across the state, and serve on nonprofit boards aimed at helping to develop the African-American community. We attempt to instill a sense of pride in our mentees, to be strong African-American men. We work to make positive changes in their lives, both in school and in the community, in an effort to prepare them to take advantage of their life's opportunities. Thus, the mission of the Black Professional Men is to secure the future of the African-American male. And that is what we do all day, every day. Want to ensure that the next generation is prepared for who they are as Black men. So that's just a little bit about us and who we are. We want to start by going around and having everyone kind of introduce themselves, and we'll start from the top, and then we'll go across and then down. So, Brother Shadid, we'll start with you, and then Brother Carl will come over to you if you can.
Okay, great evening. Shadid Eleazer, serve as the youngest chapter chair for SCORE, which is the consultant arm for small business administration in the United States. Full-time entrepreneur, specialty is intellectual property, developing intellectual property, and helping business owners monetize it. I'm heavily focused in advising corporations with transitioning into Web3 and blockchain and doing business using cryptocurrency. Serve as the partnership chair for this great organization, and it's a pleasure to connect with you all.
Brother Carl?
Web3 and blockchain.
I'm doing a presentation, so I'm going to skip and I'll do all mine when I do my presentation. Okay.
Okay, I'm down to Brother Paris.
Hello, folks. How y'all doing? My name is Paris White. I am the designer and creator of the Urban Legend series, books, board games, and trivia cards, all geared toward African-American culture. The book tells the story of Paris, who lives in the city, who unwittingly becomes a legend around his neighborhood. I took the book and transformed it into a board game that tells the same story as the game. The board game is a 18 by 24 inch picture fine board game that it's really interactive and educational, that teaches word association and memory. I also created a deck of trivia card series that's all that teaches about African-American artists, inventors, athletes, scholars, and leaders of our time that you also can incorporate into the board game to add more educational value. So it's a great series for the whole family to play.
Absolutely. And to the Queen. The Queen is in the building. Introduce yourself, man.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kendra Davis. I am a school social worker by day, a licensed clinical independent contractor by night, and I am the youth development director for BPM.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brother John?
Good evening. John Harris with the organization as a member, and just looking forward to helping out when I can. Thank you.
Absolutely. Brother Kendrick, my twin.
Look at that. We got the memo, didn't we?
I know,
We got
right?
the memo. We understood the assignment.
Right? Good, man.
Well, peace, kings and queens. I'm Kendrick Tillman. Happy New Year. I'm excited to be the vice president of programs for this great organization. But now I think about 6 years. I've been a member maybe about a decade. And so it's just been really a wonderful growth piece on our maturity level as men, and just being able to humble ourselves to be able to work together. Sometimes I was told by a young lady that was a baby boomer. She said, Kendrick, back in the day, our businesses look good, but they was in shambles. So we ain't want to partner with nobody because we ain't want to expose ourselves to how much we didn't know. And so I'm just thankful for this great organization where it's just a safe place where we can all be vulnerable so that we can pull out those strengths that we have and connect them all together. There's no reason for us to harp on weaknesses when we have this great organization of powerful men. And so outside of that, I'm DJ 5 Star. So I love weddings and corporate affairs and fundraisers, but I'm the CEO of 5 Star Enterprise, where we do community outreach, educational services, and community engagement. And we launched a few educational products like Math Through Music, the JD Coding Kit, and the Sound Clash Kit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. President, you want to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. I'm Hassan Diggs. I have the privilege of being the president of this fine organization for about 6 years, 7 years. Who's counting, right? And it's a beautiful thing to be able to be surrounded by like-minded people that look like you and that share the same challenges as you, but you're able to learn from their experiences. So that's an incredible thing. And as a member, I feel like I'm blessed to be around, these men to be able to sharpen the things that I do day to day to become a better man, a better husband, a better community member, and also a leader. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Brother Rashad.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great evening thus far. My name is Rashad Holloway. I serve as the BPM treasurer, and I'm happy to be here. I've been a BPM member for about 4 years now, and thankful to be a part of this great organization.
Absolutely. And I don't know if Diamante is able to, if you are able to, I guess, unmute and introduce yourself. We'll give you a couple of seconds to be able to do that because we don't see you on screen. So we don't know if you're available or not right now.
The queen.
Sure.
Diamante, hi, Ms. Brown.
Hi, y'all. My name is Diamante Brown, and I'm the president of the Baltimore Teachers Union. And I will be off screen because I'm trying to eat in between my next meeting that start at 7.
No problem. We totally understand. And we have, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We must have you introduce yourself, Mr. I'll let him do that. But Mr. Edwin, can you please introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are?
Well, good evening, everyone. It's good to see everybody. My name is Edwin Avant, and I am one of the founders of Black Professional Men. And really, I'm smiling to see you guys. This is 30 years. Now we're almost 31 years after the organization was founded. And so to be on here to see you guys continue to carry the torch and do the work, it just makes me really happy, really proud to be here. And I'm overjoyed. So good to see you all.
Good to see you too, sir. Good to see you too, sir. Let's see who we got left. There you go. He's up. He's in the middle there and at the bottom. Brother Donald, if you're available to come on screen, you want to introduce yourself? I don't know if he's available yet. He might still be trying to come in. So while he's doing that,
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, you can't see me. I'm trying to get the video right.
Okay.
Good evening. Okay. Good evening, my brothers and sisters. How are y'all on this wonderful day?
All right.
Good, good. It is a pleasure to be a part of you all, and awesome, a greater pleasure to see my brother Edwin Advent, who I haven't seen in years. I hope all is well. You're looking like an executive there, sir.
I do my best.
Yes, sir. But it is a pleasure to join you all on this evening and to celebrate, or should I say, be a part of the celebration that we are encountering within this 28 days of February, which we all know as Black History Month. I'm looking forward to presenting to you all a little later. And I am the president and founder of DLD Enterprises, determined to learn and develop. And just to let you know, as I come to the end of my little spiel, that as of January, which we just walked out of, I'm representing 30 years of being in business. I'll talk to you all later.
It's good to hear from you, my brother. Good to see you too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is totally awesome. And I think we have one more. Jeffrey E. Banks, if you can, if you're able to, you can come on and just kind of introduce yourself, give a brief introduction.
Sure. Greetings, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Banks. I'm politically known as Big Homie. The radio is loud and not down. So yeah, with that, just kind of turned on the car, turned on the light so that can be seen. So again, I mean, I do poetry, spoken word, I do grant writing and creative writing. So I came through this through DJ 5-star Kendrick. So happy anniversary. I mean, if it's 30 years, it's very much, very much a long time. So definitely it's been entertaining or very informative being in the group me, and definitely look forward to building and seeing greater in 2022, working with all of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to thank everyone for introducing themselves to all of us. And we want to start off our meeting by just having a, for those that aren't familiar or know, Black Professional Men has a book club. And I'll let Brother Rashad tell you the logistics of that. But Rashad, you want to give us a brief kind of overview or review of the book that we had, and then kind of what we may have coming up this month, or what the book of the month is this month, because I really enjoyed that book. I gotta say, the Energy Bus was a really great book for those that weren't aren't familiar with what the book of the month was.
Sure, Leroy. So the book of the month last month was The Energy Bus by John Gordon. We briefly touched on it a little bit throughout the during our time last month. A couple of the things is a couple of the highlights that I often like to talk about for the Energy Bus is having the right people in the right seat on the bus. So you really wouldn't want, and that means not having your worst asset in at the seat right beside you. When I call it your best asset, your worst asset, your person that's struggling a little bit, that needs a little bit more attention. You may want to keep them close to the front of the bus, but you want to keep them primed and able to thrive, or able to gain from maybe a more successful or more or person that's able to guide them or mentor them a little better in your organization. Sometimes some organizations don't have multiple people on the bus. And so as you're starting to figure out who your, CFOs are, who your chief operating officers are in your business, it means that, hey, you got to take time, stop and take time to take a look at what you have going on and how your enterprise can best thrive by making sure, hey, what's your vision? Knowing you are the driver of the bus, and also knowing what you desire and what you should be focused on to get your company or your life in the right places that you're trying to head to. Leroy, did you have a couple of questions in regards to the book?
Well, I won't say questions, but just kind of comments. The characters from the book, Joy, who was the bus driver, I thought she was one hilarious, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of like your grandmother, so to speak, or that one person that you're around that just always seems to be happy. You're like, well, why are you always so happy? Nothing seemed to upset her. And I think she set the tone for everybody else that was on the bus, which was, I think, one of the lessons that I got out of it was your energy. As you spoke about being the driver of your bus, you set the tone for the people that are around you, because if you have energy and if you have the positive energy, then that's what you're going to draw around you. But if you have negative energy, then that's what you're going to drive around you. And that's what was his name? I think George. I think it was
George.
He learned that lesson by the people that he surrounded himself as he came to get on, be on that bus, riding with those particular people that energized him in a certain way. He was able to kind of change his mindset in the way that he approached things, from his wife, to his kids, and then even on to his job, which I think we all, we can, if we understand that our energy is what control, our energy and our mindset is what can control us and how we operate around ourselves and around others, and what can dictate what others, who we allow in our space and everything. So I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. The book had a number of different rules and things that that of course permeated throughout the book, but your level of energy and what you bring, like when you spoke of George, how the book starts out, and George being down like, oh, my car broke down today, I gotta go catch the bus and I'm late for a meeting. You can look at, we got two ways of looking at life. You can look at it as a minor setback, or you can look at it as a catastrophe that you don't really have much control over, because the catastrophe is going to happen either way. It's all in how you approach the downside of what's happening to you. So you walk outside, you got two flat tires. You're going to kick both tires and think they're going to jump up, or you want to say, all right, let me figure out what's the best move to make so that I can be where I need to be on time. Business owners, you face that, as most entrepreneurs and business owners know, you're going to face those opportunities, but I call them opportunities because they're really not setbacks. They're opportunities for you to reinvent or find a way to make the most out of your situation. So you can't look at it as a downside. You just like, all right, well, it's not starting out great, but it's going, being positive and your energy level will definitely dictate how and what you should be focused on. You can either focus on negativity or you can focus on making something positive out of this negative situation.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, even with us, you know, our title being Black History, even us as Black people, when we think about all of the obstacles that we've had to overcome and that we do overcome in so many ways, whether it's, you know, in the business realm and industries that we are part of, dealing with the different things that we have to deal with on, you know, on our jobs or through our jobs and all of those things and stuff like that. Your energy is what, you know, I think pulls you through, because I think about, you know, those that were brought on the slave ships, those that survived the Middle Passage, and then even once you survive the Middle Passage, being in the underbelly of the boats and all of the disease infested that next to it, that you had some that were laying next to dead bodies, literally, you know, but to make it through that, then to make it here on this land here, and then to have to overcome all of the obstacles that you dealt with here, and to bring us here to where we are in this day and time. Yeah, we got to be a strong people, you know, and in our energy amongst each other when we come to things like this, when we're part of organizations like this. Just I think it helps us to be able to stand out. We're going to find out just, I think, some great things today with the three gentlemen that are going to be presenting this evening. I can't wait. So did you have anything else that you wanted to add, Rashad, or anyone else wanted to add, or questions that they wanted to ask about
Yeah, Leroy, I just wanted to springboard on one little note that you just said. I read something on LinkedIn and about the Middle Passage. And to summarize, it just basically said our ancestors went through all of that and still survived. How dare we get to any point in our business, in our life, and quit? How dare we? So I just wanted to share that one little note as a challenge.
Yeah, that's it. We have no excuses.
And just to piggyback off of that, we've lived through COVID. Some of us have had COVID. Some of us have family members have dealt with COVID. We literally just went through and are going through or coming out of a pandemic. And so if you're able to survive as an entrepreneur, business owner, take pleasure in the small things that you're able to survive during this time and continue to prepare to thrive. So the small things count. Don't take it for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Rashad, do we have a book for February that we're reading? Did you select the book?
Yeah, the next book is The Perfect Day to Boss Up by Mr. Rick Ross. The Perfect Day to Boss Up is the next book.
Okay, cool. And I heard that book was that's really good too. So okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, that book is almost like 50 Cent's book. And I'm like,
oh really? Okay.
You know, don't want to really listen to a rapper for, 4 hours, but it was.
He's invested in what's the wing company?
He talks about all that.
Wingstop.
Does he?
Yeah, he talks about all that, and
does he?
It is not what you think. I would just say that it is not what you think. So I might have to read it. I might have to read it again.
Okay.
It's not what you think.
Can you drop those in the chat, please?
Ooh.
What was that, John?
You can drop that in the chat to make sure that we get the spelling or whatever right. So Rick,
sure.
Thank you.
Cool. So that's an excellent book club review. So thank you, Rashad, for that.
No problem.
Absolutely. Now we're going to have our first speaker that's coming up is our main speaker, and I'm going to allow him to actually kind of go into who he is and everything like that. But he is a gentleman that is a native Baltimorean, but is actually located down in Tampa, Florida, and I've known him for a little bit now. But I've just been actually awed by just the things that he's doing his presentation that he does that incorporates Black history. And I thought it would be a great idea to have him to come and be able to speak and talk with us just a little bit about who we are. So I'm gonna allow him and give him the floor, and it is none other than Donald L. Dowridge Jr. Sir, the mic is yours.
Once again, good evening to everyone. I must say that it's definitely a pleasure to be here with you all. Some of you all I know, and some of you all, this is my first time around, if you will. As Dr. Leroy stated, I am a Baltimorean. I was born in Baltimore. I love Baltimore, but I guess they say I love Baltimore from afar. Being here in Tampa, Florida. I'm not even going to talk about the weather, so don't even worry about that, okay? But to any avail, I want to start off reading a poem that I wrote originally January 21st, 1990. And this is basically when I just was getting my feet wet, if you will, not as an entrepreneur, but as an executiveship, and I'll talk about that later. As I read, Black history, I will let you solve the mystery. Black history, that's what I'm going to give you. So tell a friend about a people who paid their dues. Black History Month, what does it mean? To pay a time to pay homage to our forefathers and mothers would glean. To journey back into time, the zone of the past. So turn on your minds, we're going to class. The 1700s seen Blacks in a new world as slaves. Then came names such as Banneker, Jones, Hall, and Durham, who were brave. Slavery was a curse and a scourge of man. We had to abolish slavery. That was the master's plan. With leaders such as Aldrich, Tubman, Bruce, Douglas, and Brown. The world knew them because they fought for freedom in their respective towns. In the 1900s, there were great gains and setbacks. The world knew them because they fought for freedom in their respective towns. In the 1900s, there were great gains and setbacks. The setbacks were the retaking of the Voting Act, the KKK, and the lynching of Blacks. The gains were the Spingarn Awards, Jackie Robinson, Mr. Lynch presiding over the Republican Convention. We made it to a point of prosperity, but there was still a lot of detention for education. Max Yearning for culture and A. Philip Randolph for labor. Their work was pure dedication. Moving on, the world got a glance at Joe Louis, Jesse Owens, and Ethel Waters. These people achieved their goals, but not before going through troubled waters. The 50s and 60s brought and integrated armed forces. The sit-ins, the New York City Fair Housing, Langston Hughes, a king, and then a movement begins. The 60s and 70s were years that brought a Bishop Perry and pure integration. Freedom riders march on Washington, thousands to Vietnam, and thank God, no more segregation. The 70s and 80s, the years of some setbacks, but a large majority of gains. Ambassador Andrew Young, Hank Aaron with his 715 home runs. We gained more mayors and, yes, a candidate for president. Even though the Black race made substantial progress, we can't forget the pain. Now, you have a taste of what is known as Black history. Within this poem, I hope I have solved the mystery. So we know our past and we know about the struggles through time. In the future, let's continue educating ourselves and more doors will open, we will find. I believe the 2000s is the year for the Black race to make and do whatever. All we have to do is put our house in proper order and future setbacks will be never. The Black race is on the move now. Lift up your face and erase that frown. Be proud of our Black history. No longer is it a mystery. Black history. Thank you. when we talk about Black history, just off the cuff, and in my 65 years of being here on earth, I am more or less a latecomer in reference to Black history. And I say I'm a latecomer because of the fact that I might have been maybe about 21 years old before I started zooming in on the importance of myself as a Black man. And I started looking around and noticing other Black men and what they were doing in their life, if you will. Now, coming out of the neighborhood that I came out of at the age of 15 in the South Bronx, there were very few role models, but thank God they were books. Yes, I said books. Thank God that I was able to engage myself into the reading of some of these books that opened my mind up to we as a Black race. And when I say open my mind up, I'm talking about the likes of Malcolm X, the likes of Elijah Muhammad, the likes of Martin Luther King Jr., the likes of, if you will, Adam Clayton Powell. And these are just New York, if you will. And then as I begin to travel, I begin to understand how powerful we are as a people. As I stated in the poem, and also as in a conversation I had this morning, you know, we are a very gifted people. We are a very educated people. We have overcome great strides in our life to continue. I heard the brother earlier speak on COVID. I heard another brother speak on some of the atrocities that we had to go through. But then when you look around, though we went through, look where we are. So what I'm gonna do, I have two screens set up. And what I'm gonna have, I have my wife and my daughter here that are assisting me. And what I'm gonna have them to do, to turn on the Zoom, because I am the owner of the DLD Traveling Black History Museum. Now, the Traveling Black History Museum consists of paraphernalia that I've collected since 1977. I didn't start the museum until maybe 2010 that I took it serious enough to say, oh, I got something here. The whole essence behind this museum, and a lot of it is what you see here. There's much, much more. I just couldn't put it all in here. But what you see now are, if you will, display boards and some prints. And these display boards that you see is basically what I put together between the years of, what I've put together from the years of 1996, 2012, 2014, and my latest one is 2015. And as a matter of fact, as I speak, I have one that I'm working on now as I speak. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this museum, I want to take on the advantage of educating a generation that is coming up behind us. It is important that though they move forth as we move out, that they are able to stand strong in our absence as we stand strong in those brothers and sisters who are no longer here with us. We don't have to have, I hear some people say we have a slave mentality. We don't have to have a slave mentality, but we should never forget that's where we came from. We should never forget, before we were those slaves, we were those kings and those queens in Africa. We should always remember, as I look at you all, I like to look at you all, or say in my mind that I'm looking at kings and I'm looking at queens here. I'm trying to, or I would like to say that, you know, we are achievers. And saying that we are achievers, that means that, hey, we are doctors. We are lawyers. We are the ones that stand tall. We are the one who can make a meal out of anything. We are the one that find the way to get over. And when I say get over, I'm talking in a positive manner, to move forward in this thing called life. Just to share with you, one of the books back in the days when I was turning my corner of positive, from negative to positivity, This book here says, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, Dennis Kimbrough. Now, when I open up this book, I open it up to the first page and it says, who are we? We are a special people. Why are we so special? Well, because of the fact that we are overcomers. Why are we such a special people? Because we know pain. We come from pain, and we are the achievers over pain. Why are we a special people? You think about your ancestors that helped you get here. You think about those stern conversations that they gave you. You think about those times when they say, which I love, is that when you walk out in the world, please understand that you're representing this family. And when they say we representing this family, the ancestors, how they taught us to handle ourselves, how they taught us to be the better us than the less us. How many of you all know that, they always say, because we as Black folks, when we go out and we conversate or we are in the midst of our counterparts, that we should always bring our better self to the table because that's what they're looking for. Can I get some show of hands? Okay. We always must step out to our better self. We always must be that achiever. And even though they may look at us as that, who that think they are, you see what I'm saying? The other day I was in the store and there was a white merchant there. This white merchant said, excuse me, sir, I love your hair. I love how you have it. I love the gray in it. And then she said this, can I touch it? I said, no, not today you don't. It's a habit that they seem to have because we have, understand where I'm going, we have that good hair. It's something they don't understand. We have that good color. It's something that they don't understand. We have that good vision. But it's just a matter of how do we push that vision into play to be advantage for us. I understand that some of you all, or maybe all of you, are entrepreneurs. Of late, I kind of moved away from using entrepreneur to executiveship. Why would I say executiveship? Well, basically, executiveship is basically because you are in control of your domain. You are in control of your vision, of your dream, of where you would like to take you, where you would like to take your business, where you would like to elevate your business and you, and let's add the family model as well. It's very important going forth. And we've come a long way. We are in now 2022. Can you visualize that? From the moment that we step foot on this ground of America. Can you imagine from there to here? And there were times like the person that I portray, Frederick Douglass, when he said, standing by the banks of the river, he said, I would love to be as free as the river. I would love to be as free as the tide that rose with no one putting restrictions on it. Well, no matter how much society try to put a restriction on us, Black Lives Matters, we should be the ones to stand tall and be unrestricted. No matter how much they try to put a restriction on us, the only reason they get over on us or get past us because of the fact we don't know our boundaries, we don't know, or we do know, but we don't step out on that RISK, which is risk. We have to take those risks in order to elevate ourselves to that next plateau. We know that right now that I'm gonna go to the NFL. We are all aware of Mr. Brian Flores in his suit against the NFL. And being a Black coach, you imagine that I said earlier, 2022, the question is, where are we on the front line when it's 70% of us who are on that field? where are us, and why is there confusion? Why is there complaint? And why is there a holdback from us? If you give me a second, Tika, can you come back over here? I want to focus on this man right here. The coach right there. Right there. Yeah, there you go. All right. Anybody know who this gentleman is?
Art Shell.
Art Shell, that's right. Art Shell.
Hawks.
Yes, with the then Oakland Raiders. He was a bad man on that front line. But wait a minute. Mr. Al Davis, I'm not going to say he broke the color line, but he opened that door for Mr. Art Shell to be one of the first Black coaches in the National Football League. I was listening to a YouTube the other day, and it was Stephen A. Smith talking to a personal friend of mine who I used to run with back in the days when he was here in Tampa. Who is that gentleman I'm talking about? I'm talking about no other than Doug Williams. I know he's up on the board. And he was asking Doug Williams in Parkman, here you go, right there, number 17. See him up, see what it says? Right there. Number 17. There you go. Now go in. Go in. You right on. All right. So he was talking to my friend Doug Williams, who I used to run with back in the days. Now, can you imagine the Tampa Bay Buccaneers refused to pay my brother another $500,000, I believe it was. So not for him to buy a house, but for him to save his wife. Let me show you how pain turned into gain for us. Well, they didn't want to pay Doug. Doug went off and joined the Arizona Outlaws. From the Arizona Outlaws, coach of Washington Redskins said, Doug, come play with us. You might not start, but come play with us. And some of you all probably remember, the rest is history. Doug Williams became the first Black quarterback to anchor that team to a victory and to an MVP. So there's a lot of pain that go with us. And sometimes we got to go through pain to get to the game. So what I would leave you all with, because we have history behind us, how can we continue to make history for our generations to come? What are we doing to make sure that history continues for us as Black people in this country, African Americans in this country? What changes should we put into play moving forward to assure that we are still making an impact? I take my hat off to, President Diggs, forgive me for not recognizing you in the beginning. I take my hat off to BPM. I take my hat off to an organization that is here in Tampa called MOV, which is Men of Vision. And basically, Men of Vision is almost parallel to what BPM does, Black Professional Men, working with young brothers. And yes, now they have opened up the door to some young sisters. We have others that are on the front line, whether it's Tampa, whether it's Baltimore, whether it's New York, or what have you, in this America, that are assuring that we have that lasting power moving forward. There's, you know, when you say, I heard somebody said Rick Ross. Now, can you imagine at 16 years old, Rick Ross opened up, I forget a wing spot, and he gave one of those wing spots to his 16-year-old son. The question was, why are you giving it to a child? The answer is because I am preparing him for his future. I am preparing him on how to be a businessman. I am preparing him on how to control his dollars. I am preparing him like we all do. We keep our dollars in our neighborhood as much and as long as possible. When you look at other races and their dollars, the question is, how long do their dollars stay in their neighborhood, as opposed to how long our dollars stay in our neighborhood? So I cheer Mr. Rick Ross. I cheer my buddy, Mr. Edwin Advent, as I've been watching him in his business. I cheer my good friend, my new good friend, Mr. Diggs, him and his queen in their business. And there's many others that are making moves in this thing called business to allow people to know that, wait a minute, we are here and we are making an impact. So the question is, who are we? And the most beautiful thing that I can, if I can talk about myself for a minute, the most beautiful thing is when I became the manager, the first Black manager of a department at the United States Postal Service. And my aim was to become the first Black postmaster of the United States Post Office here in Tampa, until I was derailed by my son, who God put a voice in him to come and put a voice in me. And that's how DLD, I don't know if you see the shirt, that's how DLD, Determined to Learn and Develop, came about. And in 30 years of running this company, not only does it consist of motivational speaking, not only does it consist of the museum, but God has allowed me to bring another branch in, where the last 13 years I traveled the country as yours truly, Frederick Douglass. I love, and I will be honest with you, Frederick Douglass is long gone, 127 years gone. But my powerful people, I must say that living in the shoes of Frederick Douglass has been about the best thing that could have happened to this, and I'm gonna say it, to this little ghetto boy, this little lost kid, because it gave me the opportunity to learn how this brother lived his life so eloquently, and not only that, to bring him alive in this century, this time zone, and not only that, to give others the opportunity to learn about him as they learn about, say, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and the impact that he's made in his life, and showing the impact that these young brothers and sisters can make in their impact, in their life. And the moral of that story is READ. That simply spells read, as you see Mr. Douglass in the background, READ. And I'm gonna take my hat off to the Blacks in Wax Museum. If you look behind me to, I guess to your right, the yellow board behind me, these are pictures that I took from the Blacks in Wax Museum there on North Avenue, that I also share about our history and the atrocities that we went through. But it ain't about what we went through, it's about where we're going. It's about how do we get to where we're going. We done been through it. Where are we going as we march forward? So as I come to an end, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say again, thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Dr. Leroy McKenzie for the invite. I want to say thank you, President Diggs, and to all of you all that are on the panel. Thank you for the opportunity to share. And I will leave the camera on so that you can continue to see the museum back here. And if you have any questions, I guess you could put them in the chat. I'll answer. And with that, God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, did we have any, we do want to open it up for anyone that may, excuse me, that may have any questions for Brother Donald. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Brother Donald. Exceptional as usual. So did we have any questions or even comment?
Well, I definitely want to comment. It's Donald, it's always good to see you. As I said earlier, but we've been in the trenches for a long time. For that 30 years, you were around in the early days when we first started Black Professional Men, but you were here in Baltimore, and we got to be in each other's space. And I just thank God that he continues to bless you to do the work that you're doing. Like you, I keep my eye on you and the work that you're doing. And whenever I see you on LinkedIn or Facebook, I'm making sure that I like or love the things that you're doing. But continue to do the work, brother. I appreciate you. I'm proud of you and just honored to be able to call you friend. And so it's just good to see you tonight and good to give you your kudos in person.
Well, it is an honor, and I say the same thing back to you, Brother Edwin. I watch you. Matter of fact, I might have a magazine in my museum with your imprint on it. We could sit here and blow smoke, but one thing I can definitely say, once the smoke clears, what's there behind that smoke? And one thing about you, Brother Edwin, there's never been no smoke about you. You have always been a distinguished gentleman, classy gentleman, and you were focused on what you had to do and where you were going. And my man, like you say, 30 years later, here you are, a shining star. So my brother, back to you.
My brother, take care.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any other questions or comments before we move forward? Cool.
My comment was really about the Baltimore County African American Cultural Festival. One of the deliverables for that nonprofit is highlighting history of African Americans. And so I wanted to see if my treasurer would talk to you offline or see about how that works. It's always the third Saturday in September. BPM has always been a great partner for us as well. And so we wear a lot of us on this in the membership wear different hats on different organizations. So we're always trying to align different goals with different organizations when they have the same mission or vision. And so one of those things I would love to have a conversation with you. I think I'd even direct messaged you about the Baltimore County African American Cultural Festival, September the 17th.
Okay. Yeah, I did see it flash up on the screen, and I'll be more than happy to give you my information. We're talking phone number and also my email. And yes, we can communicate to see how we can make that happen. And thank you.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, since that's September 17th, school has begun then. So maybe we can coordinate it when you come in a little bit earlier and come through Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys and see our 480 young collegiate gents during the week before you stop through the festival on the weekend. So let's make sure we make that happen.
I would love to make that happen. And Edward, I don't know if you recall that during my time from 2002 to 2006, when I was there doing a contract with the mayor's office for a program I had wrote, Qualities of a Mentor. I had the opportunity to work with, and I forget the name of the school, but I worked with the elementary school up there. And matter of fact, I just saw some pictures of me working with these 4th, 5th, and 6th grade young brothers back then. So, I mean, it would be awesome, to have that opportunity to come there and work with some of the schools there and see how we can empower.
All right, so definitely, like I said, when it's time to coordinate with Kendrick, let me be a part of that as well, and see if we can't bring you to our school as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, my brother.
All right, no doubt.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments before we move next? Okay. Our next portion is, as you all know, is our member highlights. Now, I don't see our new member, Hassan. I don't know if you've seen him or not, but I haven't seen him. But I do want to mention him. And that is Brother Derek Johnson. So we want to welcome him to Black Professional Men, and we can certainly make sure that that we can, send this video to him so that he can actually see the general body meeting and everything like that, because we want him to be acclimated into the organization and kind of get a feel for what we do monthly and everything like that. So we appreciate him. We welcome him. Welcome him to the organization, welcome him to what it is that we do as Black professional men and being a part of securing the future of the African American male. But also, as a part of our member highlight, we actually have our other member who I'm going to let him introduce himself, but he just has a fascinating, he's talked about it before, but for those that haven't heard about it, he has a fascinating business that he has, a company that he has. So I'm going to bring and give the mic to, did I miss it? Brother Carl, oh, there it is. Brother Carl. I'm like, oh, stuff moves around, so it's not following. But Brother Carl, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, and I want to make sure that you're able to share as well too. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, let me see if I can switch that real quick too, and you can get to your presentation as well too. Okay, let me see if I can switch it. Yep.
All right, while we're getting that set up, if you guys if you have your cell phone nearby, I have a QR code that's going to pop up on the screen, and we're going to have a little bit of fun at the end of my presentation. So if you can get your cell phones with your QR codes, when we're ready to share it, then you'll know what to do.
All right,
I'm good.
See if you can share now too. Make sure you can share.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
All right, good evening, brothers. Just want to let you guys know I am a longtime on and off member of Black Professional Men, been around since I think 94. I think I was one of Edwin's vice presidents back in the day. That's why I'm glad I did a presentation, because we can go on stories like that for a long time. I know we're on a time constraint. What was that, Ed?
I said, yep.
Back with, well, we'll get to that later. Anyway, yeah. I've been a 30-year media and advertising marketing specialist. I worked for Radio 1. That's basically what my career was, advertising and marketing. And that's where I learned customer relations and also seeing opportunities. I used to love to go to trivia nights. And every time a question came up about a Black or brown person, the restaurant would look at me. And that's when I saw an opportunity and created What You Know About That Black Trivia Games, which I know are called Black History Trivia Games. I'm originally from Newark, New Jersey. I'm a Howard University alumni and a member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. And as I stated earlier, a longstanding member of Black Professional Men. This is the QR code that I'd like for you to scan if you'd like to play along a little later. I'll have it back up and towards the end of the presentation. And I'll give you another 10 seconds.
Yeah, what is it that we need to do, Brother
If
Carl?
you have your QR code on your phone, on your cell phone, if you can scan that, you'll be linked to an answer form, because we're going to do some trivia at the end of my presentation. And you can use the answer form to submit your answers. And see how much you know about Black history. All right, so just a little bit about what I do. Like I stated, in 2014, I founded the Black Trivia Network. I started hosting of live events at different bars and restaurants. I named the game What You Know About That, because originally it was, every time I heard something that, some young person was saying, I'd be like, what you know about that? And boom, that's why I came up with the name. In 2016, I created Play at Home card decks. They're like a deck of cards with 50 trivia facts with answers. Have 7 different versions of those games. In 2018, as when I started expanding my hosting, I was doing the Reginald Lewis Museum. I started doing corporate events. I was doing nonprofits and schools. In 2019, I launched an app that you can download from Google Play or your Apple Store. And then, of course, with COVID, 2021 is when I started hosting virtual events. This took me national. I just did a virtual event for an organization. It's the second year I've done it for them in New York called Oliver Scholars. They basically marry bright Black and brown people to high-end institutions, mainly Ivy League schools. And so that's a great organization. I'm doing a mortgage company out in San Francisco tomorrow night. So it is a great, great thing. It has grown. I'm very happy. These are the card decks that I have. Each one is I have 3, 4 general knowledge ones, and then I have specific ones on the Divine Nine. I have some on music through the 80s, as well as music and general knowledge through today, the last 3 decades, the 1990s through today. And here's an example of how my app looks. The picture of me is not going to be in your app, but everything would be. I get a lot of good compliments about the game. I'm on Google. This is how I promote my business. I'm going to been doing stuff with Ames UMC, which is Pastor Marlon Tillman's church, a couple of organizations. So this is, let you know it is out there for people. And now I'm going to stop there. If you like those last few slides, they're part of my electronic press kit. I had never heard of an electronic press kit until last year's BPM meeting talking about it. I can't remember what month. And I immediately went out and got one done. And it's been a great tool. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about this organization. Still to this day, I'm learning even more. All right, now getting back to me. Black history to me in relation to family and community and utilizing my games. When I was growing up in Newark, I was blessed to have parents and a village that took me outside of Brick City to camping, which I really hated, but I learned stuff. Broadway shows, Black productions, just took me out into different elements. And that is where I used my initial springboard to develop the trivia. I knew we had a bunch of trivia of everything that we already know. First Black president, Harriet Tubman, and so forth and so on. So I want to dig deep into our accomplishments. And I've learned so much about the accomplishments, about stuff that Black people don't do. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before, or you might even say, skiing, horseback riding, mountain climbing, doing animation, Comic-Con, different types of businesses. All these things I play into my game by just saying, hey, look at all the stuff that we do, as well as the stuff that you may know, because you never know what somebody might spike somebody's interest. I learned fact from friction in Black history. It's something that I really, really treasure about my games. I make sure that I check all my sources. If it's something that I'm not sure of, I will go to 2 or 3 sources just to make sure that it's in line. If I have to reword the question, I'll do that. A couple of examples is, I know we've invented many products, but in some publications, they have Garrett Morgan invented the traffic light. What he invented was the traffic signal, which is the precursor to the traffic light. Another example is John Albert Burr. He improved the rotary blade mower, but in many cases, you'll see his name as he invented the lawn mower, which was actually done in 1830. So things like that, I take very, very seriously when I'm doing research on my games. And when I'm doing the virtual, I'm always developing. I have about 2,500 questions in my library. Some of them might be, the same topic, but it'll be worded in so many different ways that it, you still might get it wrong, even if you've heard it before. Black history. Do we know who we are? The one thing I've learned about doing this game and working with people and being in and out in public and virtually is we are not one size fits all. But a lot of times I've been noticing is we're very closed off to learning what's outside of our world. So my involvement has shown me a lot about who we are, not only what may have seemed the obvious, the great popular achievements, the first Black Oscar, the first, baseball player, president, and so forth, but also about the great non-popular achievements. For example, today, Google Arnold Tony Stone. She was in my first set of games 6 years ago. She's the first woman to play professional baseball. She played for the Negro Leagues. There was a 75-year-old woman who was the first Black woman to go to the North Pole. And at 79, she went to the South Pole. So it's things like that that I find interesting. And then especially when I'm doing live or with some people, they take it and they're really like, oh, wow, I never knew that. And it might stick with them. And I think it just makes you more interesting when you have more to talk about things. Do we know who we are? Although my games have shown our accomplishments of who we are, it's made me want to use our past to show what we can be, that we can do anything that we want if we want it. and they give knowledge, but when I play live or virtual, it also allows me also to give a background, context, and hopefully the opportunity to think out the box and take advantage of something that they have learned. So if you scanned it, the QR code, we're going to do just like one quick round of questions. I'll do the questions, and then we'll go to the next part of the meeting, and then we go to the mastermind section. I will give the answers, and you'll see how well you did. All right, so here's another chance for you guys to scan the code. And we'll get started. And we're just going to do all the questions. And all you have to do, make sure that you just type your name in and then answer each question by just pressing multiple choice. They're all multiple choice. So that's how it's actually harder for me to come up with the wrong answers when I find the trivia. So now this should be an easy one. What model starred with Michael Jackson in the Thriller video? Was it Pat Cleveland, Ola Ray, Cynthia Bailey, or Lisa Ray? Now, like I said, I do trivia. So this is a trivia game. So I take a question like this, but a lot of people don't realize that Ola Ray almost didn't get the part. Damn, I gave the answer, didn't I?
Yeah, man.
All right, I won't mess up anymore. You see how I get when I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Journalist Allison Dunnigan was the first Black female to do what? Receive a White House credentials, win a Pulitzer Prize, be published in the New York Times, or be president of the National Association of Black Journalists.
Be president of the National Association.
No, don't shout.
Yeah, hold your answers. He's going to give the answers when we go to the Black Mastermind.
And most times when people shout, they wrong. What is the birth name of Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad? Eli Healy, Elijah Williams, Alfred Howard, or Elijah Poole? And there's only 8 questions, just so you know. Who is the director of the Italian Job, The Negotiator, Law-Abiding Citizen, and Straight Outta Compton? Is it Spike Lee, F. Gary Gray, John Singleton, or Bill Duke? All great directors in their own right. Only one of them did all these movies.
Absolutely.
Who took this photograph at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral, which won a Pulitzer Prize for feature photography? Is it Gordon Parks, James Vanderzee, Moneta Sleet Jr., or John White? Fannie Jackson Coppin was the first Black woman to lead an educational institution when she became the head of what school? The Institute for Colored Youth, Coppin State College, Spelman College, or Benedict College?
Great question.
Thank you. George Franklin Grant was a dentist, but he's also received a patent for what invention? The wooden golf tee, rotating head toothbrush, traffic light, or the automatic elevator door? And the last question. Which one of the following is not a character created by the author Walter Mosley? Fearless Jones, Alex Cross, Easy Rawlings, or Socrates Fortlow? All right, you can submit your answers now, and we will show what happened later on in our program. I hope you like that. Any questions or anything?
Yeah, those are great. Those are great. Go ahead, Evan. I'm sorry.
That was great. No, I enjoyed that.
So
I don't know how many I got right, but
we'll get to that. I'll let
I
you
got a
know.
few questions. I got a few questions. So, how long, if you can just share with the brothers, this is going to help somebody, but how long before 2014, before you launched your business, were you working on your business?
Let's see. I'd say about a year.
Okay.
6 months to a year. Like I said, I was going to trivia nights. And that's when after like the, 6 or 7 times it happened, I was like, why is it every time something black or brown, but if it's something white, you don't think I know that either?
Okay. It's just, a lot of times people they only see the tip and not the work,
Oh yeah. I mean, when I say that 6 months, that's where I started researching. Cause I was like, if I'm going to do this, I can't go out with like 100 questions. I needed 500 questions ready to go in my library. So I initially just started creating the questions and the answers and doing that part. Then I incorporate, if you've ever played, sometimes I incorporate music and I'll play like, what's the next, like finish the line, finish the lyric. So throughout the years, people have suggested stuff that I've incorporated. I've dropped off stuff. Actually, when I first started, I started doing like straight trivia, just ask a question.
Right.
But then we got too many blank faces, and that's when I started doing the multiple choice.
Right. And, I think what you just shared is so important from the concept of you allowed your business to evolve off of being able to quickly process the feedback you were getting from your customers, right?
Exactly.
And there's a business term for that, but I just think that that's a lesson that a lot of business owners need to understand, is that you don't have to follow your plans all the way to the end if your customers aren't with you.
Right. Oh yeah, I changed a lot.
But that's what it's about though too, is being able to adjust and shift. You saw that the customers that you had, they were giving you information on what they wanted. So
right.
You were able to use that and be able to tweak, what it was that you were doing to what it was that they were asking for.
Exactly.
Had you decided to just say, no, I'm not changing that, they'd have just walked away from you, just left you right there doing what you were doing. So.
Definitely.
So the last thing is that, I know we always mention how many members we have, or we have a whole lot of members, but, and I know you did make a mistake and say you was an off and on member. Once you're BPM, you always BPM.
BPM, yes.
And we shared that, but to that point, Pastor Tillman, people don't know he's our Chandler for the organization, and he's a mentor to a lot of us. This is one thing that always sticks in my head, was that I went to him for advice, and I really didn't like the advice he gave me, but I knew it was sound advice. And so I knew I had to follow it wholesale. Even though I didn't agree with it, I didn't like it, it didn't feel good, but I know it came from a great place. And because I followed it to the T, I was able to get what I needed from it. So again, he is one of the pillars of the organization. You don't see him, but if you need him, he is there for you.
Hassan, on that note, one of the things I like to say to people that I'm close to, I ask them, I say, if you really care about me, tell me what you would say behind my back. That's what's going to help me. That's the information that's going to help me. Tell me what you would say to me behind my back. That's the information I can use and grow from.
Absolutely. Brother Carl, thank you so much. If you can put your contact information in the chat so that people can know where they can purchase the trivia cards and everything like that, because I think that was one of the reasons why I thought it was important to have you and the next brother that's coming up, Brother Paris, that what you all do are so great, because it's not just these aren't just games. These are games that the community can use. These are games that the school system can use, to be able to teach kids, but then also that families these are games that you can play when you have those 4th of July picnics or gatherings and barbecues and all of those good stuff, all of those things. And we get to learn about our history too. And it gives us the ability to be able to teach the next generation about our history and everything like that. So I appreciate you. Another phenomenal presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. But thank you so much. This next brother, I happened to meet him through another organization that we both are part of, the National Black Unity News. For those that aren't familiar with it, y'all might be familiar with it. And brother David Murphy and the great things that we're doing with the National Black Unity newspaper. And he did this presentation of what he has, and he has a game, he has a whole series, and he's gonna be talking about it. But I was like, brother, we have this other organization, Black Professional Men, and I was wondering if you would do the same presentation at our meeting, because our focus and topic is going to be Black history. And again, I thought that what he created was something that was not only for the community, for the family, but then also something that can be used in our schools too, to be able to teach our kids about history. It's a different way of thinking. It's a 21st century way of being able to educate us, activate us, and educate us, elevate us, and activate us. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Brother Paris. You can introduce yourself, and then you can talk about your project that you have, which I think is phenomenal as well too.
Good evening, everyone. Gentlemen, ladies, how y'all doing this evening? My name is Paris White, like Dr. McKenzie stated. Mr. McKenzie, thank you so much for having me on Black Professional Men. I really appreciate this opportunity to showcase my product. And I just want to get started, let you guys know that me and my wife created this company out of the need of lack of inclusion in the board game industry. So many years that I've, as a little boy growing up, that there was no games that represented us. There was no board games, there was no video games, barely any books, dolls. I had a daughter, I have a daughter that's 21. When she was little, I would go out to the store and just all see white Barbie dolls. There was no black doll babies. And if you did find one, there was no black male doll baby that that had to represent us and as a family. So with that in mind, and I created a series that would help us through that process. And what I did is I was in the process of writing a book when me and my wife came up with the idea of the game. We took out our old board games, and it's like, we tired of playing Monopoly. We tired of playing Sorry. Where's the games that's for us? So we went out and looked for them, and there was nothing. So me and her came back home. We came up with some great ideas for a board game. And we wanted to be educational, that taught our history, but also incorporated our culture as well. So what I did, I was already writing this book. It's called The Urban Legend, Summer Adventures, The Journey to Be Cool, which tells a great story of what I did. These are my childhood stories that I used to tell my daughter when she was young, that I wrote into a book. And then I wanted the book to be a storybook like I read to her. So I encouraged it to be I wrote it comic strip style. So parents could read it to their kids. I'm sorry if you can't see it. I was going to do a screen presentation, but Zoom and switching cameras is always a hiccup. But it's a coloring book that they also can color. It's a storybook that you can read to them. And then for ages 8 to 14, it's a series like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. So it encourages, reading the book to your child as they're growing up, and the book grows with their child as they grow. And then from that book, I created the board game, the Urban Legend board game, which is an 18 by 24 picture file. So it's a really huge board game it's really interactive and educational at the same time, because the board game itself, when you pick a card, you have to find images hidden in plain sight. So you may have to find the squirrel in the tree. You may have to find the book bag. You may have to find different things around a board game. And those cards, when you look at them, for younger kids ages 4 to 7, it would help, 4 to 6 would help with word association and memory. You also can use the cards as flashcards away from the game as teaching aids. And I also made it interactive. So now you also have another deck of cards, and these are the cards I just want to show you real quick. This is one deck, and these are the the chance style cards like in Monopoly. So you may pick out one of those cards. You may have to physically run around the board game screaming I'm on fire, into staring contests, repeat I will not embarrass my mom into your next turn, go stand in the corner because no one likes a bully. Plus there's cards that's going to advance you back and forth around a board game and you'll send other players back. So it's really competitive. The board game itself is a start to finish. So everyone starts at one point and races around to the finish. So it has great replay value because soon as somebody win, you want to turn around and play again. So it has the play mechanics of Uno. So I thought about all those things when I made the board game. So I also designed the game so kids could play within their age group. So if you have young children, they could play Candyland style with the picture-fine cards, or a younger child could play with the rest of the family and not be excluded from gameplay because they have cards geared toward their age group. So it really grows, the board game grows with your child, because not after that, I also created a deck of trivia cards like Mr. Hunt. My trivia cards are slightly different because my cards teach about African-American. This is the first deck, and it's a gold deck. Like you see on my shirt, represents the natural resources that come out of Africa. There'll be 4 decks of other trivia cards coming out. There'll be the African-American, it'll be the African-American top 10, which talks about African-American artists, inventors, athletes, scholars, and leaders of our time. There'll be the African-American history. We learn about things we did in this country and abroad. There'll be African-American entertainment, where you learn about the music moguls, the film moguls like John Singletary, like Spike Lee, Barry Gordy, so on and so forth. You also have the last deck is African-American first gold medal winners, first Black presidents, so on and so forth. But every deck of the trivia cards that I come out with, you'll be able to incorporate them back into the board game to add more educational value. So say, Madam C.J. Walker, if you're playing the trivia cards, when you guess her, you will get points when you're playing trivia, and whoever got the most points at the end of the game would win. But when you're incorporating the cards into the board game, Madam C.J. Walker card, if you guessed it right, would read, pick a player to lose 2 turns to let that relax a set. Or let's see, Aretha Franklin would be pick a player to lose. Aretha Franklin is RESPECT, move 6 more spaces for me. So everyone cards has something different to it that incorporates it into the board game to give you an advantage when you're playing a board game. So it's a really intelligent way to incorporate the trivia back into the board game to add more educational value. So if the board game, if you get the board game for your kids, it encourages them to read the book to find out the story behind the characters and the people behind it. And then as your kids grow and they grow beyond the book and the board game, now you can incorporate the trivia cards into the board game. So now they're learning our history at the same time. And the thing about the board game, it's all Black characters. It's all our, I was born in Washington, D.C., born and raised. So this first board game is actually the neighborhood that I grew up in, Southeast Washington, D.C. So the next board game in the series is going to be called the Urban Legend Fall Olympics, because it's a series. It's 4 books, 4 board games that follow the story of the book, and then trivia cards that go along with it. So the next board game in the series is the Urban Legend Fall Olympics Going for Gold, which will incorporate our childhood games like red light, green light, freeze tag, hide and seek. In the book, you'll read how we took those games and turned them into Olympics in our neighborhood, and actually read in the book how to play those games and go outside and play yourself. And then the board game itself, now you may pick a card and have to play red light, green light to get back to your seat, or bubble gum in the dish to find out who's going to be the next, who's going to move so many spaces. So it's a really cool way to incorporate, all these things together and tie them all together in one piece. And it's always supposed to be adaptable and to grow. So I also am working with a museum right now and trying to work with more museums to create a board game that's geared toward the state. So one of the first ones that I'm trying to work with now is the Kansas African American Museum. So they approached me with an idea to create a board game. So I'm in the process of doing that for them. And they have a rich history in Kansas. You have the Nicodemus National Historical Site, Brown versus Brown versus the Board of Education. You have the Richard Allen Cultural Center honoring the Buffalo Soldiers, John Brown Memorial Park, and the Gordon Park Museum as well. So it's a lot of history. And I really would love that to be the first stepping stone. So we're in negotiations now, and it's just something that's going to be really great. And if I can do that from state to state, no telling where my company would go. Me and my wife, we created this company so we can educate our kids. So many, I've been in the mall selling this game. And so many times I'll, quiz the customers that come up and say, hey, do you know this? Ask a question. The kids, they know nothing of let's see, Gregory Hines. They know nothing of Angela Davis. They know nothing of Nina Simone. Even Aretha Franklin. It's just so many people that they don't teach us about in school, and they're trying to take more and more out of our kids' education about us and the accomplishments that we have. So this is my way of giving back. I always tell my family, I don't have a lot of summers left, like most Black men, that start to get older. We want to live a long age, but the reality of it that, is sometimes we just don't have a lot of time, especially with this COVID that's going around. And I want to have something that leaves a legacy for my family. I know I won't be rich, by the end of this, but I know that I'll leave something behind that, our children will definitely benefit from in the long run. So that is my company, and that is what I'm doing. And that's all I got. Any questions?
So I know before we got started, I asked you, what was your goal? And I know you mentioned that you wanted to have like an establishment in a mall or like a brick and mortar where people, a series of physical locations where people can come to, right?
Yes.
And I think that's phenomenal. But what would be some of the gap goals between that and where you are now, some of the milestones you may need to accomplish?
Well, right now I have several products coming out, not just the book and the board game. I have a 500-piece puzzle that I'm doing. That's the cover of my book. I also have, I also worked with DC schools over the summer last year, and I created an outside board game where I turned their playground, their basketball court, into a huge board game, and we had huge the dice where you would roll the dice and you were the piece going around the board game. And from that, I'm developing a the foam mats that you see on the playground, so kids, when they fall, they don't hurt themselves. So I'm actually trying to develop a playground board game that it's already installed into the school. So I have that coming down the pipe. I also have the board game. I've had a couple of irons in the fire. I also have a clothing line that you see here, Legendary clothing line, and this is this is the art from my card. All my stuff is my original art. I am the artist, I am the writer, I am the creator, along with my wife helping me with my ideas. It's just so much stuff coming down the pipe. And, to give out all of my ideas, sometimes my wife is like, stop telling people all your business. But I do have a lot of great ideas, and it's something that really will prepare a lot of people.
And I love that. And I want to ask you and Brother Carl this. How important do y'all believe this is? And you already said you passed that you're involved with the school system. How important do you believe this is for the students that are in our school systems now to be able to have games like these or trivia like this so that they can learn our history? How important is that, do you all think, too? And I'll start with you, Brother Carl, and then Brother Press, I'll come in.
I mean, for me, I think it's extremely important. That's why I try and come at the angle of, when I'm playing, I have some softballs in the game, and then I hit them with something that'll make them think a little bit. But I think that it's really, really hard with so many different options that young people have today. I mean, that's why I came up with the app. But my app, I gotta admit, it's kind of boring. So now I'm trying to think of ways to enhance it, to try and make it more interactive. So that type of thing, I think, is very, very important.
I think the same thing. Like you said, it's very important for us to pass that education on to our kids. And the one thing that I did notice while teaching in school is just that their focus is all over the place. They won't get off their cell phones. When they get home, they're on these video games all the time. Even we're guilty as parents for, binge watching shows and being on our cell phones as well. So I wanted to create something that brought families back together. So many times that I look at families and they don't have any family time anymore. I remember sitting with my mother and father for hours, playing games and interacting. Now everyone goes their separate way when they go home. And it's to me, I think it's a travesty that, the social skills that these kids have is all out of whack. So if we can start, teaching and having fun with our kids and taking it back to the basics. Sometime I'm also creating a game app. I also have a game app in mind, which will incorporate, the board game where you're virtually playing a board game. And it'll teach kids how to invest back into their community. So you'll just like, have you ever played a game like, Farmville or Cityscape where you're building up your community? The same thing will happen on my app where you're playing a game, but instead of buying vehicles and things for your avatar, if you invest back into your neighborhood, build up your school, build up your community center, build up your neighborhood playground and your amusement park in your neighborhood, that it'll teach you how investing works. So it's also educating them that way, and it'll incorporate the trivia cards. And if you invest more in your city, your neighborhood will look better than my neighborhood, say, if I haven't invested into it. And it'll show you that, and you'll get more money because you built up your school. So it's a great, like I said, it's a lot of great things coming down the pipe. And, it's important for our kids to know that you're capable of anything. When you're teaching them about our history, you see the strides that we, those that step foot first so you can be where you are. So it's important to know, like, to me, it was monumental. I may not agree with everything Barack Obama did, but I'm, a big supporter of Barack Obama. And to see a Black man in that position for me was phenomenal. It brought tears, I cried because I didn't think, I was one of those guys that said, they'll never make a Black man president. But to see it and to know that you're capable of these things, and when I was in school, they only taught us about, when you got out of school, you go to college and you be a doctor, a lawyer, or you be, you find a trade position. But there's so many other things we could have been, but nobody pointed us down that road. When you got out of school, they was pushing, go to college, go to college. You didn't know what you want to be, but you knew you had to go to college. But, there were so many people that wasted money, put themselves in debt. There's so many other talents that we had. And my program encourages kids to find those God-given talents and make it profitable for you. Because we all know that when you do something you love, you enjoy life a little bit better. So.
Really quick, Carl, before we have to move on, we'll get the answers to Carl. To Carl's trivia question. I want you to tell the story, if you can, about the mother that came out to the I think to your kiosk that had the child with the autism. Yeah, man. I thought that was a powerful story.
Yeah. It was a mother and her son, and they came to my stand and they were looking at the game. And, I was explaining the game to her, and I was showing it to him, and it seemed like he wasn't getting on. He had to be like, 14 years old, the older kid, and he didn't seem like he was understanding. I was trying to show him the picture find part. So I went on to keep on explaining to the mother, how the game is played and stuff. And we looked back, he had took the picture find cards and put them on every spot on the board game. So I was like, wow, I took the cards he put away. So I gave him a card. And as soon as I gave him a card, he put it right where it was. And I was like, and he memorized the whole board game in minutes, and I'm going to say seconds. It was just truly phenomenal to see that, something that you did really has a positive effect on not only our youth, also the artistic kids. And children as young as 3 years old, parents have come to my stand, and I was like, oh, my child is too young to play the game. And I'll take them to the board game where it was set low, and they'll look at the board game. I explain it to them. At first, they might not get it. But then once they understand what they had to do, the parents was amazing. I want the whole set. I want the book, the board game, and the trivia. I just want the whole set. And it's the most phenomenal thing to know that you've done something that, really is gratifying. And you're getting your accolades. So many times we work jobs, but we don't get those accolades. So many times I work jobs, overtime, snow days, so on and so forth, been there 16 hours. And I come to work the next day thinking that somebody's gonna say, thank you for all the hard work that you've done. Never. Oh, okay, here's some more hard work for you. So it's never really received. So, I really appreciate the kind words from the customers that I had.
Yeah, that was an awesome story that I thought you told, and just encapsulated where we were talking about the importance of these games and what you and Carl are doing and how they touch families, families in our community and everything like that. So I just thought that was awesome. Brother Carl, you ready? We'll do the mastermind really quick. Give the answers up.
Before we go to that, can we let John speak?
Oh yeah.
You have a website. I already pulled up Brother Carl's website. And
yes, it's theurbanlegendseries.com. Theurbanlegendseries.com. I'll put it in the
put it in the chat, Pastor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cool. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Okay, Carl. It is on. Are you able to?
Yep.
Cool.
We good. All right. Well, I gave the answer for this one. However, that's only because this is a presentation. So when I'm playing, I've never done that before. That's why I was like, oh man, I can't believe it. So yes, Oda Ray. She's internationally known as Michael Jackson's girlfriend in the Grammy Award-winning short film Thriller. Her work in Thriller brought her worldwide recognition and made her a household name. Now, what I said earlier, when the director, oh God, now I forgot his name, Glasses. Anyway, they had found out that she had posed for Playboy, but Michael Jackson okayed that she does the video. So those are like the behind the scenes stuff.
Cool.
Journalist Allison Dunnigan was the first Black female before Yamiche and April Ryan. Allison Dunnigan, that throws me off so much, that tongue twister, was the first African-American female correspondent to receive White House credentials and the first Black female member of the Senate and House Representative press galleries. Awesome. What is the birth name of Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad? His name is Elijah Robert Poole. Elijah.
Oh, I messed that up.
I thought so. That's just to the Black man.
That reaction, I can't even tell you how big my smile is right now, because how many of y'all all know who Elijah Muhammad is? Mm-hmm. But this is like stuff that is very important, I think, and people think that he founded the Nation of Islam. That was really Ward Fard. And he led, by the way, he led the nation from 1934 until his death in 1975. He was a mentor to Malcolm X, Louis Farrakhan, and Muhammad Ali. Who is the director of The Italian Job, The Negotiator, Law Abiding Citizen, and Straight Outta Compton? His name is F. Gary Gray. Felix Gary Gray. Now we know why he goes by F. He began his career as a director of music videos and made his first feature directorial debut with the comedy Friday. He has since done Set It Off, The Negotiator, The Italian Job, Be Cool, Law Abiding Citizen, and Straight Outta Compton. He is my favorite Black director that you never heard of.
Oh, we heard of F. Gary Gray, man.
Well, I know this organization is, but you know what I'm saying, general public.
So unique.
Right, especially when he points out the non-majority African-American cast movies that he's done.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. I said John Singleton. I'm terrible.
Don't feel bad. When I do this out in bars, we call it a thinking and drinking time. So it's a good time. Oh, well, let me go back. There we go.
There you go.
I'm going forward. Go back. All right. Oh, that was from that was a different question. That still was there. My apologies. Okay, who took this photograph at MLK's funeral, which won a Pulitzer Prize for feature photography? I know a lot of people said Gordon Parks, but it's actually Moneta Sleet Jr. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for feature photography for this picture, and the first African-American man to win a Pulitzer and award for journalism.
Okay.
Oh.
Fannie Jackson Coppin was the first Black woman to lead an educational institution when she became the head of the Institute for Colored Youth, which is now Cheney University. It was a Quaker school in Philadelphia. In 1926, the Baltimore Teacher Training School was named after Fannie Jackson Coppin Normal School, which is now Coppin State University? That's my favorite, one of my favorite trick questions.
Shout out to Cheney University with 185 years coming up later this month. That's really a piece of Black history as well.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And where I got my degree as well.
Okay, George Franklin Grant was a dentist, but he's also received a patent for the invention of, and BPM is full of them, golfers.
Golf tee.
Wooden golf
That's what I was
tee.
thinking.
He was also the first African-American professor at Harvard, I'm sorry. He was an avid golfer, and in 1899, he invented and patented a golf tee whittled from wood and capped with a latex resin, which was used in dentistry for root canal.
Cool.
And to end the game, which one of the following is not a character created by the author Walter Mosley? They all were created except for Alex Cross.
Yeah.
He's the main character in crime, mystery, and thriller novels written by James Patterson. He's been played by Morgan Freeman very well. Morgan Freeman very well, and by Tyler Perry very badly.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it. You said it. Can you go back to that slide with the golf tee real quick? I want to put you down. Yeah, that one. Got it.
All right.
That was great. That was great.
And thanks for playing. And as an entrepreneur, 3 games for $30.
On your website, or
you can order Cash App or on our website, blacktrivianetwork.com.
All right. So who was the winner, man? Who was the winner?
We gonna about to get to that in just a second. I got to reshare to another screen.
Don't even mention my school, because I think I only got the first 2 the answers was given right.
There you go.
Oh wow!
Edwin with the slim win.
All right.
That is awesome.
Look at me and Rashad in an honorable second place.
There you go.
So when I do play it live, I do have 4 rounds, and that's how have a lot of more fun. I get in about 36 questions. So each week.
Right. That's cool.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a great idea on that app. I really like that. I can't wait to collaborate with you after we get off this call, because I'm mind is spinning over here. I got some great ideas. Because I didn't like doing the trivia question. It's like doing a book report on each person. I was like, good God.
Well, that is one of the worst parts, because I'll be doing it and then it's like
fact checking.
And then fact checking, and then something else will pop up, and then I'm on a totally different tangent. And 1 minute I'm looking up, okay, I just want to make sure that Althea Gibson was the first Black woman on the LB, to professional golfer. Mm-hmm. Next I know, I'm finding out, hey, another good question would be, who's older, Venus or Serena? Okay, no, another good question would be, and I'm just like, oh man, off to the races. So it's kind of.
I'd like to plug of support to Brother Carl. I actually have the first 3 that he had out. He must have got the other ones new during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to getting the other 3, not necessarily the Divine 9, no offense, y'all. I'll get the other 3, but I'm also looking forward to getting the product from Brother Paris as well. So now that I plugged, maybe I'll have a discount code for the other 3.
Hey, 3 for 30.
Look, I enjoyed. I bought all of the ones you had available. I think at the Armory.
That
Armory.
Yes.
So I bought all of those.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
So we want to thank our speakers, Brother Donald. Thank you, Brother Carl. Thank you, Brother Paris. Thank you for this evening. This has been fantastic. This has been really great. I'm going to give the mic over to our president and allow him to be able to address us, and then to be able to give his closing comments and updates, and then we will we'll close out for this evening.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I had some things I wanted to say, but I'm gonna say what's on my mind, what's on my heart, really, right? So tonight we have 3 individual businesses that focuses on Black history, right? And even if it wasn't intentional, Leroy or Dr. Leroy, excuse me, is phenomenal, right? And so what's on my heart right now is, and the guy, gentleman kind of alluded to it though, is how can all 3 of you do a marketing alliance? Typically in our community, one would say you guys are in competition, but you're not. You're in collaboration. And the great thing is that like even one of the books we read, Good to Great, it talks about how car dealerships all work together. You notice you always see successful car dealerships right next to multiple car dealerships. The ones that are struggling are the ones that are by themselves. And the piece that I picked from all 3 of you is that you have the same similar target audience, but you have a different vantage point on the products and how you deliver it. And I can see a collaboration together where you're now able to provide a full spectrum. And so I'm interested to see it or to hear what could be a marketing alliance. But I can say homeschooling is a huge market.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, you just said something, Hassan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
wow.
good.
Wow.
And I'm thinking too.
Thoughts on how y'all can do a marketing alliance?
And I'm thinking something too with our school too, with Baltimore Collegiate. We got 480 boys. It's like we got to figure out some way to package it up and get it out to all the parents and see if we can't get them to also buy them for their families as well. So yeah, let's figure that out.
Because see, one of the things that I realize is that each of you, or I would say Carl and Paris especially, you have that tool that can speak to the parent, that can provide the parent tools to make learning Black history fun, right? With Brother Donald, he has the vehicle to provide that stimulating animation behind the history. Mm-hmm. So even if you had a scenario where you had Brother Donald be the
spokesman,
the spokesman for how your products could coexist globally, I think that is a huge opportunity, and I just don't want that to get lost. And to give a little background on this is, I talk about my mentoring sessions that I have, all the time with different members. All the members, they always are mentoring me on one thing or another, and I'm very appreciative of that. But we have a lot of resources that people don't necessarily use. And I had a call yesterday about somebody who wanted us to go and speak to a delegate about, how can we help entrepreneurs in Baltimore City? And the parallel that I had to draw to that young brother was a lot of there's first generation business owners that don't know what they don't know. And because they don't know that, they're afraid to make those mistakes, right? And because they don't make those mistakes, they don't get those learning experiences, okay? Now, if you have a 17 generation business owner, he has the experiences from his great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandparents or whoever. He's able to learn from those experiences, right? So for us, we have to be able to gain the trust very quickly and then be able to provide the information that can be absorbed so that they can be able to kind of move forward, right? And so I was explaining to the gentleman that there's resources within this organization that he's not using, hence the reason why a lot of those other businesses won't use. And I use Zoho as an example, right? I was like, do you automate how you send your emails? Well, no. He said he has Zoho, or he's heard Troy speak about it, but he doesn't have the time. But I'm like, he doesn't have the money. And I mentioned to him that, hey, you can use BPM Zoho for free just to learn how to use it before you make that investment. And so there's resources and opportunities just like this that die on a shelf because either fear or afraid of the unknown. So if anything, I would like to challenge, everybody to do something to be able to harness the energy and the resources that are brought here today with this particular purpose. That's my thought. What you got, Brother Donald? You on mute.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in and I wanted to add that I truly enjoy that, like that spiel, if you will, in reference to Brother Paris and Carl and myself connecting and maybe opening up the line where, yes, we could do some global. We're in this zone now where, as we know, we can't physically be there, but thanks to the mechanism of Zoom and the technology that we have, I think that, yes, we can pull our resources together and spread wings, if you will, into new areas. Because as I listened to the two brothers and what they brought to the table, and what I bring to the table, and I mentioned earlier that there is other portions of this museum that, I couldn't even fit it in here to display it. And when we're talking about our kids and you're talking about history, quite naturally, when you talk to a lot of our young brothers, rapper, football, basketball. And what is not on display here is my whole collection of Michael Jordan, if you will, my whole collection of football paraphernalia, my whole collection of, for instance, like boxing, so if you want to divvy into that sports world, the collection that I have can bring, it can open the mind. If you want to dig into that intelligent portion of it, what I have in the collection. And I don't think it's a matter of us outdoing each other. And I will share this morning in my presentation, I did mention Willie Lynch in reference to, don't beat them, just play with their heads. And when you play with their heads, long after I'm gone, we're gone, the slave owners are gone, they're still going to be hating on each other. So the matter of tearing down the big wall and seeing how, we can work together. And brothers, I will come out and say that, I'm just an old man at 65. I don't have any hate. I want to know, how can we generate? How can we work? How can I learn from you? How can you learn from me? And how can we take our learnings and spread them into avenues and boulevards that will allow, like my brother Paris say, our time is ticking. How can we spread so that that generation that's coming up behind us, they can take it, if you will, quote unquote, take the ball and run with it. So I'm just saying, let's do it. I'm open. I ain't down for anything, but I'm up for everything.
I love it. Mr. President, that's the goal, one of the foundations, the three core, I think, other than the mission of ensuring the future of the African-American male. But as you've said, when you and I have had discussions, is to educate, activate, and elevate. and we do that by having these conversations, and we do that by having these general body meetings where we can come and we can talk about these, not only talk about these things, but come out of them with means and partnerships and collaborations, and even a better way to be able to utilize the organization of Black professional men. So I'm gonna leave it to you if you have any closing words, Mr. President. Anybody else have any closing words before we close out?
Ain't nobody say how they gonna collaborate. That wasn't a rhetorical question.
Well, I think that begins with just them having their information.
Man, we need to do one. I need at least one option. Can I get one option before we leave?
I was really thinking about when I was saying I was listening to Mr. Hunt, like how much I work the trivia cards is. We were talking earlier. He already has a wide range of trivia already set up, which could be easily incorporated, or even helping me with a next set of trivia cards, where we can collaborate and break bread together, and like I said, I got a lot of irons in the fire with the museums. So, to have accurate cards that could, help with that. And Mr. Dalridge, and he's already traveling the country, going to different museums and different places and promoting, African-American culture and history, down the road already. So it'd be great to say, to have, like you say, have him as a spokesperson to get around the country and even to showcase these products, be it mine or Mr. Hunt's as well. So, and to even collaborate to come up with ideas for the next game in the series, and to, it's a lot of possibilities.
I'm gonna give y'all a gem. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all a gem. Okay, just write this down. Y'all want to write this down? All right. Y'all want to come up with 3 categories. One is going to be women. So you got the March. That's the month of March. Give you time to plan. You want to do something around
Black Music Month.
No. Let me drive this bus. I was quiet when I gave y'all the floor, right?
But you mentioned women, so
I understand. But women is a reason for that. So you got women in March, right? You need to do cancer. Black history with cancer, with the contribution to cancers for October. All right. And then I would say something dealing with STEM. And then you want to find 5 nonprofits that support those particular things, and engage those nonprofits to do a fundraiser to provide your products to youth. And you want to pick 5 zones throughout the country and replicate that in all 5 zones.
And that I think that ties into what Dalen was saying. She says, how about a school visit or career fair dealing with the schools? Along the same lines with the nonprofit organizations, kind of develop the same kind of concept with the school, starting with as Edwin mentioned with his school.
I'm not going to say that's a 6-figure thing, but that's at least a 5-figure concept. So if y'all do that, I am confident that y'all will walk away with 5 figures.
Oh.
And then you'll be able to Paris, you'll be able to get your you better get your brick and mortar.
Well, that's the one thing that I think that I definitely need is the marketing part, because I'm just here in the DMV, and then I also definitely could use the financing, because you can't do nothing without finance. That's the one road that I'm
gonna tell you this. I'm gonna stop you right there. You don't need finances. You need consumers. Every consumer equals a financial benefit to you. If I give you $100,000 and you don't have consumers, you're not going to still make any more money, but you're still going to pay out money. But if I give you 100,000 consumers, you're not going to have any problems with money. Sorry, but just had this. Just had to say that.
Yeah, but in order to have an inventory and to push the new ideas and to get those games development, it definitely takes seed money. And I'm, like I said, I'm 1 year in, and I've been, me and my wife is in business. We haven't taken out any business loans. So, what I need is, the still working on the startup of everything.
Just in time inventory.
Yes.
Google that if you don't know what it is. Just in time.
I know, but with the gaming industry, I don't know where Mr. Hunt gets his cards made at, but if you're getting it from overseas, you got to fly it over, which is twice the money, or shipping takes a month overseas from China. So it's a lot of
sounds like collaboration right there. Sounds like a collaboration, but it's I'm just saying, a lot of times we say that it takes money to do it, and money is just a tool, right? And you can't nail something. You can have $100, but if you don't have a hammer, you're not getting that nail into that wall. But you got the money, but you don't have the tool. So it's always about having the right tool for the right job. And so as I see I'm getting a hint from our founder over there. We're gonna let everybody
Look, I definitely appreciate. I'm sorry, my son is on Boy Scout, so I got to jump off of here and go Boy Scout Zoom.
I appreciate it, but I thank everybody for coming and spending your time. This is a lot of work that we're doing. If you're interested, get involved, and you can see what we're doing from the ground level.
Yeah, absolutely, y'all. So make sure that you can you can save the information in the chat. Paris, make sure you put your information in the chat there. You can save that if you need it to be able to connect. We can move from there. It's very important that we connect and we not just talk about it, but we actually build from this. That's why I was intentional about trying to have this, because I was hoping that what would come out of this would be something like this, because I thought it was important for the schools. I thought it was important for the community and us as having families to be able to have these types of tools, not only in our family, in our households, because every one of us should have these games in our houses to be able to play with our families during our family time. So I know I'm going to make sure that I get both Carl and Price's games. Brother Donald, what we do, what I would have you working on that huge museum, that mobile museum that you have. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you all for taking your time. As Mr. President said, we will see you all next month, where we have hopefully another engaging general body meeting for Black professional men. We appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all next month.
Great meeting, brothers. You guys Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you. Well.
All right. Happy Black History Month.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for being on, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Kings.
All right, blessings to you.
All right.